Hey everyone, Shane here. Let me tell you about my show coming up on November 24th, Saturday night over at Pops. We're calling it Riffs for Gifts. Me and my friend Lexi Schlimmer put this show together for benefiting Toys for Tots, and we invited all along our friends. Outrun the Fall, The Poor, Steeples, Monk and the People, The Matching Shoe, and Silent Hollow, all performing live that evening on Saturday the 24th. Along with that, we'll have some silent auction stuff. We'll have there's rumors that Santa Claus might even be there, so I'm very excited about that. And a whole lot more other things coming up. So get involved with the show. You can find more details at popsrocks.com. And come on out. It's a $10 donation at the door or $5 with a toy donation. So again, all this benefiting Toys for Tots, and it's going to be a great time. So come on out Saturday, November 24th, Pops, Sauget, Illinois. Thanks, everyone.
Hi, this is Lexi
and Sid
of Hess Van Schlimmer Metalworks and Art, home of the Schlimmer Metal Wolves. We are a small but furious family-run welding, fabrication, and metalworks shop with CNC capabilities and now full-scale powder coating operation. We bring unique, affordable quality art to life within the realm of practicality. Whether it's signs, sculptures, railings, shelves, furniture, or even just powder coat for your rims or your patio set, give us a look. Check us out on Facebook or Instagram or call 618-670-5724. We are Hess Van Schlimmer Metalworks. That was terrible.
We tried.
Hey everybody, Shane here. I want to tell you about my friends at Naked Vine, located at 1624 Clarkson Road in Chesterfield, Missouri, serving up all your favorite wine, whiskey, and local craft beers. Stop by and visit them Wednesday, November 7th for Hunter Hamilton Group. Thursday, November 8th, Phil and Carson from the Scandaleros. Friday, November 9th, Baja. And Saturday, November 10th, Nick Detmeyer and the Sawdusters. And then I will be there on Tuesday, November 13th with my singer-songwriter storytelling showcase at 7 o'clock with Nick Gussman, Maddie Shell, and Sean Kimball. Again, get involved with them on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Stop by and see for yourself why it's being called the best city bar in the county. So check it out, nakedvine.net. Thanks, everybody. Enjoy the show.
A podcast is kind of like it's like a radio show that's not on the radio. It's on the internet. Does that make sense? Uh-huh. Yeah. That's also like my mom. It makes it sound more confusing, doesn't it? It sounds like this.
Hello, you're listening to Rock Paper Podcast, and this is Emily Hickner, your guest for today. You're lucky.
Rock Paper Podcast. Rock Paper Podcast. Rock Paper Podcast, y'all.
Hey everybody, Shane Presley here, Rock Paper Podcast, coming to you from St. Louis, Missouri. Hanging out today with Emily Hickner. Welcome to the show.
Hello. Hi.
I'm glad to be here. We got a lot of things to talk about, but this is we were just kind of talking about it off mic, but this is our first time officially getting to meet and hang out and talk, and so this is I'm excited to meet you officially. We've been friendly online for a little bit now, but I've been trying to keep an eye on what you've been doing in comedy, and now we get to talk about it here and actually become real friends. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I feel like I just associate you, I think of you as the person who lets people know that there's actually shit to do in St. Louis.
Yeah.
And it's like, you have no reason to say, like, there's nothing to do when Shane Presley is telling you there's a million things for you to do. Yeah,
that's exactly why I started that, and which is, the topic comes up a lot, those lists and things, and I started doing that because everybody was like, yeah, there's nothing to do in St. Louis. I'm like, no, you're wrong. I'm going to show you. So I started doing those lists, and sometimes it was only like, 4 or 5 things on a Friday night when I first started, which was like, that was like all that was on my, so for me, like, you get the Facebook memories or whatever pop up and that kind of, so like I see that kind of stuff, and then I look at, like last Saturday I put like 50 of them on a list, and I was like, that's kind of cool to think about that. How far how much we had going on, but how like I guess naive I was then, and like to how the network has grown so much to where like I'm aware of so many more cool things happening in our city and stuff too. So it's kind of neat to have that documentation of it. But yeah, there's so much happening right now in St. Louis, in between music and comedy and and the arts and everything happening. So
yeah, I think people don't realize how many unique things there are and how many talented and creative people are in our city. Like, you don't have to go to New York or LA to see a one-of-a-kind comedy show or just a storytelling show or whatever it may be, because we have that here. And I think I can't say for sure, but I get the sense that what's been happening lately across the arts is people are creating their own opportunities more and more, and I think the social media and our access to things like your ability to just walk around with a little recording studio in your backpack has like lent itself to people creating their own opportunities to create and put out things, but also it's just catching on. People are getting more and more creative. You don't have to just do stand-up in a comedy club. I mean, that's great and it's awesome, and I love doing stand-up in a comedy club, but I also love it when I'm invited onto Fatal Bus Accident to play Ted Kaczynski. You know, like it is so rewarding to me that my life is more than my day job.
Right.
I can literally go into work and say, oh yeah, last night I dressed up as Ted Kaczynski, and it was really funny because there were cold cuts all over the stage and I kept slipping and falling on them, but I couldn't get up because I was handcuffed and holding a log of wood. And like it seems like I'm just describing a bizarre dream to you, but no, that was my actual life, and like that's fantastic. Like I think comedy and just being in the performing arts world has saved me from having an ordinary life.
yeah,
So
I mean I can definitely relate to that. Like not that I don't think I've ever really had an ordinary life, but for sure getting out to like the music and everything, and like that, as that's like, you know, become like overtaken my life in the last 10 something years probably, like, and then starting to do this show, like especially like doing this, like has gotten me out, allowing me to meet so many cool people that I would never been in my life otherwise, and just continuing to meet and learn and discover all this great stuff happening, and like I love it. So I'm right there with you. Like comedy is doing that for you, but for me the podcast has opened up so much into my life and stuff. So it's really exciting.
yeah, and I try to like branch out and not just get stuck in my little comedy vacuum. I have friends who are musicians and they're posting videos of shows, and interesting, just like kind of by the seat of their pants kind of shows where people just come up and play and they're all just collaborating in the moment, which is really fun to see. And when I see those videos, I'm like, I want to see that. I want to go there and be a part of, like, be in that room. So I do try to get out of the and sometimes it's just like I'm tired of comedy. Like,
Right.
It's very easy to just get tired of, especially when you do open mic nights and you're like, oh God, I have to sit through everyone's jokes because they have to sit through mine, and that's the trade-off. But it's very rewarding to step outside of that and see some of the more I'm losing my train of thought here. Really good.
I feel like that's sometimes that all helps too, because like having that, like stepping away and then like, say maybe going to a music in a concert or do something or wherever it is, something like might kind of open up your eyes to something, a new way to do something or something.
Yeah.
I feel like you have to live a little life sometimes to have something to talk about on stage for sure. So it's like, or vice versa, whatever it is. So like, if you're just doing comedy all the time, like there might still be those jokes there, but you're gonna also discover other things, going out and doing other fun stuff, like, and actually stepping away from the stage and doing, so you have something to talk about there and relatable and things.
Yeah, 100%. And I can't tell you the number of times that I see a comedian who starts to tour, and whether they're just touring in their car or touring by plane, but their comedy becomes mostly about their travel. Like, not mostly, but a lot of their jokes. There's so many jokes about comedians traveling or what it's like to be on an airplane or the TSA, because that becomes their life. And they're not taking the time, or maybe they just don't have the time to have a life outside of comedy. And it doesn't make you as relatable when your whole life is just about being a comedian. Because, hey, you guys know when you're a comedian and you have to listen to other comedians and you're really tired of that dick joke and you're just like, why do you, like, stop trying to make that happen? Like, that's not relatable to the audience because they're not,
Right.
like, that's not what I do with my Wednesday nights. Sorry. So, yeah. But, and also it's just inspiring to be in the presence of other creative types. And I want people who are not comedy people to come and see my comedy shows and other comedy shows in St. Louis. So it's only fair that I should do the same for people in the St. Louis music community and people. I'm calling myself out on this. I need to go see a play.
Yeah.
Please, someone tell me a play to go see. I will go see it. I should probably be supporting that because I'm a hypocrite right now. So
Yeah, I had a friend say one time he was kind of getting frustrated that people weren't coming out to his concerts, and somebody said, "Well, are you going to theirs?" And he's like, "No." Like, and that's the thing. Yeah, we all got to support each other. So it's like, so I get it. Well, let's go back a bit. Like I said, this is our first time getting to meet. Did you grow up here in St. Louis? And
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I was born in a hospital that has since been condemned. Classic St. Louis birth story. I've lived in St. Louis my whole life with the exception of a semester abroad, just a very, typical white female thing to do. But I like it, and there were so many years in my 20s where I was saying, oh, next year's the year that I move to Chicago, or it's going to be the year after this, or whatever. But now that I'm in my 30s and I'm still here, yes, I would definitely like to experience a different city and live different places. But I found that in my 20s I was wanting to go somewhere where I thought there were more opportunities, instead of actually investing in the city that I'm in and creating opportunities here, which is why I think Flyover is so cool, the Flyover Comedy Festival, because I wasn't there for the birth of it, but these guys said, we're gonna make this happen here in St. Louis. We don't have to go out elsewhere to have a big comedy festival. We can both highlight the people that we have here and bring big talent here as well.
there is something about that though. Like I fully support what you're saying. Like I believe in St. Louis and growing talent here and stuff instead of New York, LA, and Chicago and whatever. But because we have a lot of really incredible, talented people here doing, like I said, like we said earlier, doing whatever their shows might be, but they're creating their own opportunities right here. But I do feel like sometimes we don't appreciate things, and I mean that's the whole saying, you don't appreciate it until it's gone. So like we have a lot of people move off and become successful somewhere else, and then we're like, we always claim them like, they're from St. Louis, but like we didn't really like fully support them while they were here until they left, and then like and then of course when they come home, like then they'll be big stars. But like I don't know, it's kind of a weird thing sometimes how. I don't know what the answer is, but it's just it's a weird kind of thing sometimes in St. Louis.
Yeah, and why wouldn't you want to be the person who saw them when they were just starting out,
right.
And it was only $5 to see them,
Right.
But yeah, when RFT used to do the like March of Madness comedy competition, the first round was always a tweet. But it was like always hashtag SoSTL. And one of mine was, which I think was the one that got me through, was St. Louis. A lot of famous people once left here, because you do definitely. I mean, if you want to be famous, it's not going to happen in St. Louis unless you are a baseball player or announcer. But if you just want to create, you can definitely still do that here.
Yeah.
I do think like the benefit to the bigger cities is there's just more people, so
Sure.
Of course there's more audiences and more places to perform at, which it's great to have like more exposure. And I think one thing that a lot of people that I know in bigger cities have talked about is that the comedians in those scenes challenge each other more because it's more competitive. We don't have that so much here because it's a smaller pool of people, and like, what are you fighting over? I guess like stage time at a club, but that's
Right.
about it.
Yeah, it does seem more community though. Like there's like a lot of people. I feel like it's not competitive, but a lot of people are very supportive of each other.
Oh yeah.
And especially in the comedy scene, like there are a lot of people want to help each other out all the time. So.
Yeah, I mean, we talk shit behind each other's
Yeah,
backs, like
right.
100%, but we are very supportive
Yeah.
of each other. But, that person didn't deserve that stage time. That's all I've got to say. A lot of people coming through our town have definitely said, like, this is one of the more supportive communities.
Yeah.
It's not as,
Sure. When did you start doing comedy then? When was your first mic that you went out and decided to give this a shot?
I'm so old. So I actually started stand-up when I was 24, and there were maybe 2 female comedians in the scene at the time, and there were only 2 mics that you could do. So I've really seen an evolution in the stand-up comedy scene since I started. It was so small before, but people started to take the torch and run with it and create their own open mics in different places. And now that I'm more senior in the St. Louis comedy community, people that I've come up with, like John Benegoni and Kenny Kynes, were like, oh, we already had our time creating an open mic and like being a showrunner where we had to go up on stage every 5 minutes and enlight people and try to kick them off stage. So it's your turn now. We're done. So I do think it has to be a cycle where people that are new to the scene, if they're gonna be running with it, they've got to take that torch. They've got to start creating those opportunities for stage time. Otherwise, it's going to die. It's going to fester. Mm-hmm. But when I started out, O'Malley's was the Monday night open mic night, and then there was the funny bone. And I was deathly afraid to do the funny bone, and kind of some of the advice that I had received at the time was, oh, don't do the funny bone until you're ready. Like, get your 5 minutes and then go to the funny bone. If I had known then that I would have sat through so many funny bone open mics where people would be on that stage just like farting into the microphone, not literally, but verbally, like, just like, verbal, like masturbation, then I would have just probably made the leap a lot sooner. But I think it got like built up too much for me, and but eventually I got there. So I decided to do stand-up comedy when I was at a show. A friend of a friend was leaving, and they were having this like variety show at Lemons. All these businesses don't exist anymore. But we were there, and there was there's stand-up, and I was just like, oh, I didn't know people could do stand-up in their city. Like, I didn't know that was a thing, and all I wanted was to rip the microphone out of that person's hand and go up. I mean, I was a little drunk when I was at that show, but I was like, I want to do that. Like, that's like, I wanted so badly to be on that stage, and I am not a natural performer whatsoever. I've cried during like class presentations. I have snort laughed. I have fallen into a trash can before while giving a presentation. Like, I was not a drama kid. That was definitely something I had to practice at and learn and really hone over time. I was never, I think of JC Sabala started around the same time as me, and he was just so naturally like suave and like had this stupid male confidence that I hated, where it's just like, oh, this guy is so confident. I love JC though, but I could write a joke, and I've always been a writer. That's always been something that I love doing, but translating that to the stage was, even though I had that strong desire in me, it really took time and practice. And just like, if you've never talked into a microphone before, you don't know what you're doing. Like, that's not something that people who weren't in bands and whatever, like, know about. They don't know, like, don't put it so close to your mouth and you turn like this, and don't hold it so far away that it's, you're just like the maid of honor at a wedding, where you're just like, and I just want to say that, like, we're not like, and that's kind of how I felt, because, and not to shit on women, but I feel like every wedding I go to, the best man gets to have the fun, funny speech, and that the maid of honor is just like, and I just think that we're gonna be friends forever, but like, and she doesn't know how to talk into a microphone, but the best man has just like, once again, stupid male confidence. I'm sure JC has just given a lot of best man speeches where he's gotten laid afterwards because he has that going for him. But I was the maid of honor of comedians when I started, where I did not have that confidence. I didn't know what to do with my body or with the mic stand, and that, like, so much of like my starting out in comedy was just learning how to have a stage presence, and then like also with that it comes like finding your sense of humor, and there were times where I said things that people would laugh at, and I didn't know why it was funny, and I didn't necessarily find it funny, but I just went with it because I was getting a laugh. Eventually I got to a spot where I'm like, I find this funny, I'm going to make you think this is funny as well, because this is what I want to relay to people. This is what I want to get across. It's not just about this desperate, frantic search for laughter. It's, oh no, this is what I want you to laugh at, and I'm going to make you laugh at it in a very aggressive way. I sound like a bully. But yeah, that took time. And what sucked about that is because I only had O'Malley's, I had this, as opposed to only a few years later when there would be at least 3 or 4 mics to do a week. I had this one night a week that I would go and do this and then practice throughout the week and then go back the next time. Like, I didn't get to run through it as much, so it did take time. But I remember the first time I did stand-up, I drove home, and I don't do drugs, but I imagine that that's what meth would feel like. Like, I was just on cloud 9, I couldn't sleep that night. Everything was running through. I could have probably cleaned my whole house that night on the energy that I had from that show, from doing that. But yeah, and that was like kind of like the start of the drug. It's just that high that I rode. And I don't always get it as much anymore, which kind of makes me sad that it's like, I've used this drug so many times. It's kind of its effects are waning, but there's a different effect now.
Sure. Same with doing the show. I've been doing this for like 4.5 years, and there's just times where you get down and you're like, why am I doing this? And then all of a sudden, like, you get an opportunity, something happens, and something just incredible, or somebody says something like super nice, or whatever. I have a friend, she's become a good friend now. At the time, I didn't even hardly know her, but tattooed my logo on her arm.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, I was like, I don't even know what to say. Like, that's the coolest thing ever, that somebody has my show name tattooed on her arm. Like, I was like, so those moments like that, like those, like saying, it does kind of fade sometimes, but you get these moments that come along where you're just like, this is why I'm doing it. This is incredible. Like, they're making an impact on somebody's life and stuff. And like you I don't know. So yeah, it's, you keep chasing that high and that next one and stuff like that. So
yeah, and it has taught me, like, I was never the person that would go up to a band, like a local band, after a show and be like, hey, that was really good, or like, never told people that they did well, because it's like, oh, that's weird, that's awkward. But once I started doing this, I realized how rewarding it is when someone says to you, like, oh, I really like that, or that made me think about something, and I could really relate to that, and it's so rewarding. So now I do tell people, like, oh, your music just made me want to cry, like, it was so beautiful. Or I try to make a point to actually tell people that I really appreciate what they're doing, because it's not awkward to go up to someone and tell someone that, like, you can totally do that, it's okay.
Right.
I don't know why I was such a, like, nervous person about telling someone that I liked their music, or I don't know.
right.
I mean, don't do it for, like, Beyonce, like, but like a local comedian or performer, musician, like, go and tell them, like, yeah.
That
like,
would be pretty funny though. Like, if you just copy on, hey, that was good.
I think you're doing a good job.
Yeah, I think you're onto something. Keep up the good work.
Yeah. And actually, now that I'm in my 30s, I'm kind of like, oh, I'm not going to be on Conan O'Brien. Like, that's not who I'm going to be. But Libby Higgins recently told me that she started doing stand-up because she saw me. She thought, it was kind of like a more male thing, and she saw a female doing it, and she liked it, and it inspired her to start doing it. And I was just like, well, if all I ever did was make Libby Higgins start doing stand-up, then I'm, like, happy. Like, that I can die now. No, I don't want to die, but, yeah, but that's just, just like it really warmed my heart.
For sure. She's another one. I remember seeing her videos on Vine and things, and then I bumped into her at I don't know if it was a Loser or something, or there was some kind of comedy thing going on at Heavy Anchor one night, and I ran into her there, and I introduced myself, so it was kind of cool to somebody that had been following through the internet and finally get to meet him in person. And we did one of these podcasts in a Denny's a while back, and when she did that New Kids on the Block cruise and all that stuff, so she's gone on to do a lot of big things, so
she has the most interesting life, I just feel.
but that's great that you helped inspire her to get out there and do that.
Yeah.
Otherwise we may not have had that. So.
And I do think it's very important for women in comedy to see other women doing it. I especially felt this way when I first started out, and I was talking to some other female comedians about this last night, where we felt like there was this competitive nature to the female comedians that was kind of put on us, this idea that there can only be one female on the show, or one female that's successful. We don't want a bunch of female points of view. We're gonna pick one that we like the best and run with that, and that'll be the female that gets on the shows. But that's so reductive to what we're doing. Within that female perspective, there's many perspectives. There's so much. We're all unique and different in our own ways, and to get competitive with each other, or allow that narrative to take control of what we're doing, would reduce how special each of us are and how unique we are, and what we have to offer. And it's so I'm glad that I've been able to, I was inspired when I saw other female comedians when I first started, because that was not only was it a big deal to see people doing stand-up in St. Louis, but it was a big deal to see another woman doing it, and I was like, okay, this can be for me. I don't have to fit a certain type. So I'm glad that we can all inspire each other instead of feeling like we're in Hunger Games or something. Yeah.
Who was that for you though? Who were you that you were like, hey, I want to try to do that?
I don't even know her name. It was at that show, and I thought she was, and I have no idea. I think she came through town or something, but I had no idea who she was.
Oh, so you went to
that Lemon's show.
Oh, Lemon's, okay,
First, and I don't know who she was. Yeah. So, if you're out there, I love you. I don't know, but when I first started, definitely it was pretty much Tree Sanchez and Kelsey McClure. So it was, it was us, but it was good to have both of them and see their confidence, and that they were able to hold their ground in this very male environment.
Right.
Because it's not just about the stage being a male environment. It's about the actual being among comedians. It's changed a lot since I started, but I can't tell you the number of times I felt like I was men said, other male comedians said things to me that had to do with my body, or that I was cute, but I wasn't really funny. Just things that really made me feel small. And I kind of went along with it at first and let them talk to me that way. But I've grown, and it was hard to hold our own at that time. But I'm glad I did it. Now I'm bossing around the boys.
There you go.
No. There's probably a bunch of male comedians that would definitely tell you that I bullied them.
Well, you touched on Flyover earlier. Let's get this out there. There's you can come see Emily live at Flyover Comedy Festival on November 8th. And this is all going on November 8th, 9th, and 10th down in the Grove in St. Louis, Missouri. But like I said, you'll be appearing at the Improv shop on the 8th with Shane Torres and Rafe Williams. So that's going to be an incredible night.
Oh yeah, it'll be an awesome show. The whole festival is going to be awesome. There's just such a diverse lineup, not just in terms of the types of people that you'll be seeing, like lots of different types of human beings, but also just diverse types of comedy. It's not just stand-up, and it's not even just stand-up and improv. It's sketch. There's a spelling bee show. It's all over the place, and it's gonna be awesome and amazing. And buy a ticket because you're excited to see Carmen Espinosa or the Improvised Shakespeare Company, but then go to all the other little weird shows where you're like, oh, what does that even mean, a fatal bus accident? Like, just go to those shows too, because it'll be such a great exposure for people that don't necessarily go out to comedy shows.
Sure.
Like I was saying, maybe you don't eat Greek food regularly, but when the Greek festival happens, like, you get really into Greek food, and like you're just like, I'm gonna go beyond the flaming cheese and get like this thing I can't pronounce, but that's what this festival is. It's like, this is your experience to get really into Greek food and try different things. Like, come for the spanakopita, stay for I ran out of Greek food to this. Those are the only Greek foods that I know. And I go to the Greek festival, so I should know more foods.
And you can get a 3-day wristband, right?
Yeah.
What's like $40 or something?
It's $40. Yeah, which is a deal. I mean, so Carmen Espinosa, that show alone is $25. So if you were just gonna go to the Ready Room to see her, and she's amazing, why not just throw down the extra $15 to see 3 nights of comedy? And
Ben Kronberg's there, one of my favorites. So I'm excited about that. You got a lot. Yeah, I got all kinds of cool stuff. We even got a comedy podcast going in there and stuff. So got all kinds of variety, all kinds of different stuff. So come on out to Flyover Comedy Festival in St. Louis. Yeah,
and it's all in the Grove neighborhood, which is great. So it's not just showcasing comedy, it's showcasing that neighborhood that has it's so conducive to what the festival is doing, because there's the Ready Room, the Improv Shop, the Monocle, all these places with stages that are there for the performing arts, but also all these other awesome businesses that you stop and get a beer at Urban Chestnut, and also get some of their food, because they've got some bomb-ass pretzels, and they really have a good food menu, and I don't think people know that, but that's such
a cool part of town over there too, like you're saying, with the arts and now Guerrilla Street Food's in the Grove. You've got Gramophone down there.
Yeah.
You've got Urban Chestnut, like you mentioned. I heard Firecracker Pizza over there is really good. A guy was telling me about this pizza down there. It's like called Godzilla Pizza, and it's like got like some kind of like Asian sauce and chicken and all that. It was like,
I'm getting like really hungry right now.
It's like, all of it sounded good, but yeah, there was a lot of really cool things happening in the Grove. So along with all that, support the other businesses too that are all part of all this. So
definitely.
Yeah. And then after Flyover, we have a couple of dates we want to tell you about. You can stop by the Funny Bone on Wednesday, November 14th, and Emily will be a part of the Best of St. Louis showcase with Max Price.
Yes.
And who else was on that?
Andrew Frank and
Royal, right? Something.
Yes, I feel really bad. We're gonna say the name so that I don't feel so bad. Yeah. Oh, sorry. It's on here. But yeah, that, and then after that is Coffee Break at Foam.
Yeah.
Which is great.
What is it called?
Ricky.
Ricky Royal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Coffee Break on November 16th. So is it Coffee Break with Ken Warner with Yale Hollander?
I don't even know who's in charge of it anymore.
Well, it was Ken's show, right?
It's Ken Warner's Coffee Break with Yale Hollander.
There it is.
They want to make the name painful to say.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I love doing shows at Foam. Foam has been really supportive from the start of this. Yeah, just like the performing arts community in general. There's always a show there, but they've been very patient with comedians over the years.
You were you told me a story off mic about opening for Janine Garofalo, and you shared the stage with Maria Bamford and.
I've never performed with Maria Bamford. That would be nice, though.
I thought I didn't know you guys just met her. I guess that night.
Oh, I've just gotten in a picture with her.
Yeah. But either way, like she's incredible. Like she's one of my favorites for sure. Like
she's inspiring, for sure. And I have to say I was a total asshole of a human being when I started, and I was just like, oh, I don't really have favorite female comedians, but now it's like I love Maria Bamford is inspiring in the way that she is able to be so vulnerable and personal and hilarious at the same time. Like she's not afraid to go dark places or personal places with her stand-up, and I love that about her. And that's a very feminine trait to be vulnerable, and she's showing that there's strength in that. That's not a weak thing. Because how fucking bold to like go on stage and talk about your mental illness and being in a hospital for it. So yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that I think I first got introduced to her through that Comedians at Comedy Festival, the DVD.
Yeah.
I think that was
Patton Oswalt.
Yeah.
And who else is on that?
Brian Posehn and Zach Galifianakis.
Yeah. That's so. Wouldn't you love to be in that car?
Oh yeah.
I sometimes just wish that I could become like a little famous just so I could be in the room with people. Although I did get to have a really awesome experience recently when I hosted for Chris Gethard at Helium. Doug Benson had been recording his podcast, Doug Loves Movies, earlier in the day. So I was in the green room with all these comedians, including Doug Benson and Chris Gethard. I was like, oh, this is just like a really cool room to be in right now. And they're all laughing. And I threw in some jokes and they laughed at my jokes. I was like, yes, they like me. So yeah, I was geeking out and kind of like sneakily Instagramming what was happening. I was like, yeah, this isn't special for you, but it's special for me. So.
Yeah. You also got to share the stage with Jim Brewer, right?
Yes, yeah.
Was another one of my favorites. Been following his career for since SNL and everything else, but Half Baked is pretty iconic, of course. So.
Yeah, I was. Oh God, I'm like even embarrassed that I did this because when I was a kid, like I loved SNL and we would always do all the characters, and I made I would do for my friends, like Britney Spears, like if Britney Spears was all like Goat Boy, like a mashup.
You were doing your own characters?
And I did like Britney Spears as Goat Boy, if that makes sense. And it was just like, baby. Like I just like did it for him first. I was like, oh, I used to do this when I was like a kid. Can I do it for you right now? And he was just like, oh. Yeah, I know I shouldn't have done that. I'll just go stand in the corner.
I'll just be over here.
He was actually very nice about it, and he was like, "Oh, that's funny." He's very polite.
Yeah.
But what was weird about him is he is a clean comedian, which I didn't expect at all, because he's like this like Metallica kind of guy, and I just thought like, but he's like, he keeps it clean on stage.
I guess I didn't realize that. He doesn't. I don't know. I know there's some guys that like, you know, really obviously well known for being clean on stage, but like I guess I never really. But yeah, now that I guess I'm thinking about it, like I don't really call them cursing or anything, but.
Yeah, I didn't realize that either. But the good thing about it is like you don't. The fact that you're not realizing that it's clean means that it's not an impediment on his count. Like he's just like, I don't have to cuss for what I'm doing. Sure,
I think it was Brian Regan. Obviously, he's pretty well known for being a clean comic, and that's what he was like. Why would you limit yourself to saying there's like 7 words you can't say? Mm-hmm. And he's like, why would you limit your vocabulary to that when you can? There's so many other words that are sometimes funnier to say the other words that, you know, and stuff. So, but one of my favorite bits, he was on Nerdist podcast once, and they were talking, and Chris brought up like that topic that he was, you know, clean, but he asked him if he would curse, so he told his Pop-Tart joke, but like threw in a bunch of like F-bombs and stuff in it, so it was like made me just crack up. Like it was also just really funny just to listen to Brian cursing like that. But it's I agree that if the writing's strong enough, you don't need all that stuff. So
I think it's just like a matter of personal preference. Like if you don't like generally swear, why would you start swearing on stage? Right. Like if that's not who you are, don't be that. I do swear, but that's who I cuss frequently. So I'm I actually was like the kid on the school bus that was like, oh, I'll say all the bad words. Like, oh, you want to hear me say them? I'll say them. You know? So I was, I've always just been like that. Yeah. But I don't think you, like, don't do it for the sake of doing it. Like, and it's definitely not necessary to be gratuitous about it. The one thing that I'm definitely, I hate watching myself perform. I hate watching videos, but it's probably a good thing to do because I catch myself saying like a lot, and I'm just like,
oh yeah. Try listening to an hour of podcast of yourself every other day.
No, I would go insane. Yeah. That's some people's hell. It's just listening to. Oh God, is this what I sound like? But at least you don't sound like an idiot, so that's good.
I'm trying. That's what I'm going for. That's the goal. Is just if I don't sound like an idiot, then hopefully I'll be all right. But it doesn't always happen. But you were talking about the kids saying dirty words. You know, or that you were that kid. I work in an elementary school is my day job, and like the kids are always like, you know, raising their hand and like, he said crap or, you know, poop or whatever, you know, like, well, no, you just said that. Like, what, you know, it's like.
Also, like, come on, crap, like, poop, you're going to get upset over poop?
But they always want to tell me the kids say bad words, and I'm like, okay, well, you just said it too, so.
No, you go in time.
Right, yeah, right. Yep. Now you're both in trouble. But, no, it's, elementary kids are.
They're narcs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, pretty much. They haven't got the memo yet. The snitches get stitches.
Yeah. Well, it seems like if that is your threshold for being offended is the word poop, like, you know.
Right.
Like, it gets harder. Yep. So maybe just let it go.
That's what I'm saying. Well, you were telling me you also have an Instagram that you wanted to talk about here. This is
yeah.
We do convos with my therapist on Instagram. Is a comic that you do with a friend. With
my friend Jack Probst. So he's the artist because I more of a Crayola artist, not so much a someone who can draw straight lines. But he's really great. So pretty much it was, I go to therapy because the stage is not enough of a therapy for me. But it was born out of, sometimes I would say these stupid things to my therapist that I knew she didn't want me to say. But I'm just a little shithead sometimes where I'm just like, do you mean masturbation? Is that what you mean? And it's just like, no, we're talking about self-care. Stop. But, well, she's not like that. She laughs, actually. She's really great. But I kind of wanted to normalize therapy and mental health and open up that it's quite okay to go to therapy, and it can be really rewarding. So, sometimes it's going to be a funny comic. There's only 2 strips out right now on our Instagram, but sometimes it's not going to be funny. Sometimes it's just going to be personal. But I felt that I've come to a lot of personal revelations, and in talking about them with friends, it'll resonate with them. And I have a way of coming up with really bizarre analogies for everything. So my therapist will say something to me and I'm like, oh, so do you mean like there's 2 kinds of dads, like a dad that doesn't come around and just buys you expensive gifts, and then there's a dad that is actually at your baseball games, and that's what self-care is? And then she's like, if that's what works for you, if that helps you understand self-care, that it's not just about indulgence and getting an Xbox, that it is about supporting yourself, then yeah, okay, that works. So they're funny analogies, they're weird analogies, but I hope it resonates with people, and it's been personally rewarding for me to do it. And Jack is really great because he's very understanding of going to therapy and struggling with mental health, and I'll send him something and I'm like, oh, I fucking love how you made me and the couch so small in that moment, because it really helps portray the emotion of that moment. So he's great at it. So it's a really exciting collaboration, and I hope that it keeps going. Although I do find myself during this therapy session, I haven't said anything funny yet, and I need something for my strip. So maybe can we talk about something else for a bit? That was one big fear. I'm sure my therapist is aware of it as well, because I told her that I was doing it, and I did I'm sure she would call me out on it if she saw that I was trying to make the therapy session fit something that I wanted to do creatively. But I have to be aware that I'm not just trying to come up with material for my comic strip. Right. So we haven't really said anything funny lately, so I've been kind of it's been very rewarding lately. I've been getting through a lot of personal forgiveness, but I really am worried about getting some material. Right. So I'd like to take a break from the personal forgiveness and get back onto material for my comic strip.
So this was a pretty new project though, right?
Yes. Yeah. So there's just 2 strips out right now, and it's time intensive to make it. So we're probably just gonna release one every 2 or so weeks. It's really just gonna be not a forced thing, just something when it comes. Yeah.
Well, very cool. Yeah. So again, you can follow that on Convos with my therapist on Instagram. Yeah. And that's all, I guess that's the handle, right? All one word.
And the unfortunate thing is, because it's all one word, and sometimes it's easy to read it as Convos with the rapist. Right. That is not what I'm doing. And that would be grammar, like the grammar of that sentence doesn't make sense.
Right.
You can't have conversations with the rapist.
Yeah.
It's either my rapist or the rapist.
That's one of my favorites from Celebrity Jeopardy with when they were what's his Daryl Hammond.
Yeah.
This was Sean Connery.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'll take the rapist for 500. That's therapist. So, yeah.
It is an unfortunate word.
I think you did another one where it was I'll take ape tit for, and it was appetite or something like this.
That's awesome.
So anyway, some good old SNL jokes. But yeah, no, I'm excited. I want to check those out. I didn't realize you were doing this. I'm gonna go take a look. But again, come on out to Flyover Comedy and get involved with all things Emily and come see her live.
Yeah.
I gotta come see you live. I don't think I go to quite a bit. I've been going to a lot more music lately. I haven't been to a comedy show in a while, actually, honestly. But November 8th, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll come on out, and I'm excited because I've never seen Shane either, so I'd like to see him. I know his Conan set crushed and went kind of viral and stuff. A lot of people sharing that around, so that should be a real big night for sure.
It's like I'm kind of like, oh, am I good enough for this lineup with like Rafe and Shane? Which is, I have to pump myself up, but like that's going to be a really exciting show to do, to work with both of those guys on the same show. It's freaking awesome.
Yeah, Rafe's a RFT cover model now, so.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he used to do a joke about being a model, or he used to be a model or something. And I know people who took that literally, and they're like, oh, so Rafe was a model. And I was like, and I hadn't heard the joke yet, so I just had people telling me that he was a model. So it like became a weird game of telephone where I was like, so Rafe used to be a model. He was, apparently, it's just a joke. He's got great cheekbones, but never did that.
Yep. I thank you so much for doing this, for taking some time out to hang. It's been a lot of fun chatting about all this. I'm excited to come see you live, and I guess going forward, closing out this year and next year and stuff, do you have some big goals set for yourself that you would like to do? I mean, this is obviously I know you were part of as a performer, but I think you also helped organize this, right? And stuff.
Yes. So
that's a pretty big accomplishment already there. But
I'm on the board for Flyover, and I help. So it is going to be a stress. Like if I look really stressed out while I'm on stage, it's because I'm also doing volunteer coordination and working on like the logistics of like the wristband sales and ticket sales. I kind of everything that's more like a coordination thing, like wayfinding and stuff like that, I'll be working on for the festival. So it'll be a very stressful but very fun 3 days for me. So it all culminates in an epic night of karaoke. Like we all do karaoke at the end. We're just like, oh, it's over, we did it, we pulled it off, and now let's sing some.
What are you gonna do, Brittany, or what's your go-to?
Brittany. I probably do not know all the lyrics to a Britney Spears song, to be totally honest. Last year I did "Lump" by Presidents of the United States of America. That's one of my favorite songs to karaoke, but I always default to it. I need a better karaoke. I need not a better one because I love that song, but I need another one. My range is very limited. So I haven't found it yet. I'm working on it.
A couple of my classic go-tos for karaoke are Four Non-Blondes, What's Up, and Vanilla Ice, Ice Ice Baby. Can't go wrong there. I've also done Sir Mix-a-Lot, Baby Got Back.
Yeah.
I strictly 90s jams only. I did do. I haven't done karaoke, but I did in my car. I just delivered a spot-on performance of Smash Mouth "Walking on the Sun" on the way over here today. So
that would be a good karaoke.
that's how I prepared for this interview. So
I recently thought it would be a good idea to karaoke the song Cotton Eye Joe. It's terrible. It's no, don't sing that at karaoke.
Yeah.
Everyone will hate you. If you want to be despised by everyone in the bar, then yeah, sing Cotton Eye Joe. But otherwise, just don't do it.
did you see that video? Got circulating around. A guy. It was a comedy thing, but a guy did karaoke to Tequila. And he's just like standing
Just
there.
every now and then.
Yeah. He's just standing there in the corner holding the mic and then tequila.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it's pretty funny.
Well, if it's in the songbook,
Right, yeah.
I guess it didn't take much for them to make that into a karaoke song.
Yeah.
They just had to remove the one lyric.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, last night, Zach Jehoviak, who is the festival co-founder, and I did Jackson. We did a Jackson duet, and I think we could actually. We're gonna bring it back.
Johnny and June?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we're gonna bring that back for the closing party.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a sight.
But I also need to do a solo thing because I don't, I don't always just perform with Matt. I need to, go on my own as well.
There you go.
I'm terrible at song lyrics though. Like I always get them wrong. The Weezer song "Why Bother."
I don't know if
It
I
was
know that one.
off of Pinkerton.
Okay.
So the song is called Why Bother, and it goes like, why bother? She's gonna hurt me, she's gonna kill, or whatever. It's like something like that. And I was in a bar with my friends and it came on and I started singing along and I started saying, my father, he's going to hurt me. And they're just like, what do you think the song is about? What are you singing? And I'm like, it's called My Father. It's about how his father's going to hurt him. And his father's abusing him over him not being liked by a girl. That doesn't make any sense. It's called Why Bother? Because he's afraid of being hurt by a girl. I'm like, oh, that makes so much more sense than what I thought this song was about. And I could have just looked at the song title to know better. Yeah, so I'm really bad at that.
Yeah, Stacy, my wife's real. She makes up her own lyrics sometimes too, and we'll just. And I'm like, what do you say? And then I'm like, no, that's not how it is. I correct her and stuff, but I'm like, it's funny to how many people are like that though. Like they've heard it one way for so long, and it's like,
Yeah.
well, no, that's how it goes. Like, no.
I do like to change the lyrics when I'm driving. I'm sure a lot of people do this when you're just singing along to a song. It's like, and then make the fucking right. Why won't you just make it right? It just becomes about your anger towards other drivers.
Oh yeah. I think I did that on the way over here today. So
Yeah.
yelling at people to get out of my way. So
Someone should record that.
yeah.
Podcast idea.
There it is.
Another podcast solely made up of singing along to songs about traffic.
Radio gold.
Yeah, I got all these ideas, so that's a goal for next year. Is my no. Yeah, but I don't have a lot of goals other than just I really want to do more with the comic, and I want to do more with writing in general. I'd like to make more of a transition to writing some memoir style things. Since I do talk about my parents a lot on stage, I have deaf parents and I talk about it. I'd like to make that into something that can be permanent.
Yeah.
And not just on the stage.
Right. Are you? Is that it's a pretty big goal, but maybe taking it to some kind of a show format or something, like a pilot or anything, or how would you do that?
I don't know. I really just what my process so far has been buying a bunch of like the best memoirs and reading those memoirs, and then like trying to think of how I'm going to approach my own thing. But I have a terrible memory for my own life. I don't know how people remember their lives. That's very difficult to me. It's like I think I was, 8 or maybe I was 10. I don't know. Yeah.
I definitely have like the memories, but yeah, time is awful with me. Like I couldn't tell you when or whatever, but I do. There's definitely those. I can tell you, I can describe everything about the situation, but yeah, time, I'm awful about that part. Knowing the year or how old I was or whatever that.
Yeah, I don't know how people do it. I don't know how like David Sedaris does it, like paints a picture out of a fuzzy childhood memory. That's really impressive. So I hope to try.
Or what's that one? There's a woman, some actress, and she's got like some kind of. She can tell you like what happened on every day kind of thing or something. I can just give her a date and she'll know exactly where.
She's an actress?
Yeah, she.
She's like a savant.
I don't know what. I forget what all that's called. What her name is, but yeah, she can like but in the same sense, like she could just be making it up, like.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing is why would you? But it almost like you could tell me anything. I'm like, okay, cool, that sounds right. It's like. Yeah. But.
Teal Pierce is also on Flyover. He is a local comedian, and he remembers that. Like, he's just got a stellar memory and he told me he doesn't write his jokes down, which I think is just a really funny because at first he was telling me that he writes every day, but he doesn't write anything down. So I just love the idea of him like sitting in a chair, just like, got it. And written, like just thinking to himself, like there's no, because I would love to have that ability, because there's so many times like as I'm falling asleep I'm like, oh, that would be funny, and it's like, oh, should I write it down? No, I'll remember, and then it's completely gone. It's but I love the idea of someone writing without actually writing.
Yeah. Do you want to get on the road more? Would you like to do some weekend stuff or any of that, or is that are you focusing staying here in St. Louis and?
No, I would, so I just got done with like the orientation period of my new job, so I'm finally able to use vacation days and stuff. So yeah, I definitely would like to travel more, because I think comedy is a great way to explore, because I was describing it to someone this way, where it's like belonging to a church. Like, you could go to any city by yourself, and if you find that comedy scene, it's like finding your church. Right. And you're like, oh yes, I'm also a Baptist, or what. I don't know any churches, but like just having that connection, you have a place to go and connect with people. So I think that's a pretty awesome way to explore new cities, and you get to see a different side of that city, like a more like the underbelly of it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I do definitely want to do that, and see what other scenes are doing, and kind of assess it in comparison to what's happening here, and think about like, okay, how could I contribute in a new way to St. Louis that's being done elsewhere. So.
Yeah, I would love to see like a group, 4 or whatever, like just the St. Louis comedy tour or whatever, like get a group to hit the road together and kind of showcase what we have going on here in St. Louis, because there are a lot of really great comics coming up right now and that have been working very hard. So it'd be nice to let the rest of the country know what we're up to. So.
Yeah, I agree 100%. That would be an awesome idea. The downfall is publicizing your own event in another city can be hard.
Yeah.
So I have seen it done well, and I've also seen it done very poorly. One, and it's expensive when you don't know what you're going to make out of it, and like people don't necessarily want to pay for people they don't know or haven't heard of. But one group that it was a foursome, and they toured through St. Louis one time. They didn't charge anything for their shows, but they sold koozies, and I think they maybe had something else too for like $5 afterwards. And they sold out. And they were just like, hey, this is free, but if you liked what we did and you want to support us traveling, like, shoot us $5 for a koozie. And it was awesome. Like, they were pretty cool koozies too. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I think there's a good way to do that. I'm not a great networker. There are definitely people who are better networkers than me that I could probably join forces with. I do have a car, so that's my contribution.
Yeah. Well, very nice. Well, this has been incredible. I really thank you so much for taking some time out to hang and chat and talk about all this stuff. And yeah, so we hope to do it again sometime.
Yeah.
But I will see you very soon then.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank
Emily.
you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Rock Paper Podcast. Rock Paper Podcast.
Rock Paper Podcast.
Rock Paper Podcast.
Well, yeah, that was it.